Hi, folks. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the PagerDuty Twitch channel. I'm Mandy Walls, DevOps Advocate here at PagerDuty. This is the HowTo Happy Hour. We're here every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. If you ever have any questions or anything else you want to know from us about any of the stuff that we present, give us a shout. We're community-team at PagerDuty.com, or you can join us on our forums, which are at community.pagerduty.com, and ask questions of us and our community and all kinds of folks that hang out there. We have some stuff coming up next week. It's super busy, right? So Tuesday, the 15th, I'll be at Developer Week Enterprise giving a talk there. Actually, that might actually be on the 16th, but Developer Week Enterprise is 15th and 16th. On the 17th, Kat will be doing a webinar with our friend Julie Gunderson and Paula Thrasher called Humans, Robots, and Incident Response. I'll be speaking at Heavy Bits Dev Guild Incident Response meeting, and Scott will be leading up the quarterly Terraform Roundtable. So next Thursday, if you want to hear from PagerDuty, we are everywhere. And you can see more stuff at our page on ops.io. So it's community.ops.io/pdcommunity. You can find out where all we are and all the great stuff that we're doing. So this week on the Happy Hour, I have Davis with me, and we're going to talk service stuff.
Yes. Thanks so much, Mandy. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, awesome. Tell us a bit about what you do before we get rolling here.
Sure. So I am a principal product manager here at PagerDuty. I oversee what I like to think of as kind of our core part of the product of services, schedules, and incidents. So getting data to people to take action. And it's a really fun place to be, knowing that we are in a very interesting, amazing intersection of data and people. And, hopefully making people's lives better in what we do, making on-call suck less, to share a competitor's former slogan. No, it's a fun place, and I love that we get to serve people's pain. I know we're solving a real problem for folks out there.
Yeah, awesome. So today you're going to tell us about service graph and service standards. So
absolutely.
All right. I can add your slides to the show here.
Absolutely. So I'll jump in to share right here. Mandy, seems like
you're already shared, so you just want to flip over to your screen. Yeah, you're good.
Inception. Okay.
There we go.
I'll awesome. Keep myself focused here, give myself my slides elsewhere, and then go full screen.
There we go.
Right. So yes, like I said, got something I'd like to talk about, which is how to create better services and understand how they fit into your technical ecosystem. I've got a couple slides, less than 5 minutes, and we'll jump right into the good stuff for the demo, the actual how-to bit, and all that. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, and I'll get to them as we go along. So obviously, the technology ecosystem has changed drastically over the last years. With cloud and microservices, the amount of services you own has increased exponentially. I hear this from our customers all the time on calls. I mean, take a look at this. This is Netflix service map. Wild, right? Thousands of services, even more dependencies, all tangled up together. And when something goes wrong, you need to make sense. And behind those services are the people who have to keep those things always on for customers. It's important to make sure the teams have the tools they need to respond better and faster with as little disruption as possible to their work and live lives outside of their job. No more missing dinner because you don't know what's going on in one of those 3 services in your org named Omega or Apollo. Within PagerDuty, we've got 2 features that help make service ownership better and less confusing. But first, this point, you might be asking yourself, what really counts as a service? We've seen organizations split services many ways, and it's not always as simple as matching it to what's deployed in the cloud. For some organizations, there's a monolith that needs to be taken into account as well. So how can you determine how to break things up into manageable pieces that a team can be responsible for? PagerDuty defines a service as a discrete piece of functionality that provides value and that is wholly owned by a team. Another way to think of it is that a service represents an entity that you monitor and serves as a container for related incidents that associates them with escalation policies. This is a broader definition that allows more flexibility in how teams might define unconventional services. In short, it breaks down like this. If you monitor You want incidents to be associated with it, and you want certain people to be on call for it. It's a service. So monitoring incidents and people, that's what distinguishes a service. This may not be all that a service needs in order to be well configured, however. Responders need more than this to be fully prepared to deal with issues on a service they're all on call for. And organizations need more than this to achieve process via software in order to scale. Plus, you need to know what services depend on each other and how this whole thing is connected. This is where service standards and dynamic service graph comes in. Dynamic service graph enables organizations to have a holistic view of their technical and business services and dependencies. I see these features as two halves of one whole. The whole thing being all teams have a clear understanding of what the services in the org look like and do. Service standard helps all teams ensure that their service configurations are adhering to service ownership best practices. This means that services are informative, integrated with the right tools, and supported by the right people. Anyway, that's the end of my deck. Now drum roll for what you've been waiting for, the demo. Mandy, give this one, so the demo gods are rarely in my favor.
All right. Well, so we're going to do this in sort of a chat kind of way, right? So we'll talk through some of the things that I have here and what we're looking at and where we're going with all of this. It's like we've got two pieces here that we're sort of talking about. We're talking about your service standards and your service graph. So let me give you a look at the little imaginary ecosystem I have here so you can see it in service graph, and then we're going to disrupt it, right? So we can make this a little bit bigger for folks watching at home so you can see what's going on here. This is my regular service directory page. You can see my services, but the other thing that's under the services tab at the top of the interface is service graph. Ooh, service graph. So I'm looking at my service graph, and I'm going to pull it up here. It's a little bit out of whack. Let's make it a little bit more sense. So I have
Mandy, I love that you started with the service graph. Because to me, it's the idea that you can make sense of the world that you inherit. And it's actually like seeing you already play around with exactly the point of like, okay, you can make sense of your world in a way that other tools potentially can't. It's like you get to kind of create your own reality and understand it in a better way.
Absolutely. Like we call it sort of rationalizing a microservices environment is like, it can be completely bananas. Like even, it doesn't have to be anywhere near that hairball you showed for Netflix, but like you get a dozen or so services together, like it's hard to figure out from the service directory, that list, what's going on. So when they're all linked up like this in our service graph, we can see what they're doing. So I have a database on the back end here. I have a single database for my fabulous shop, right? So my fabulous shop is just tiny, and I have one database. I have two middle tier services. One is for search and one is for the shopping cart. And then I have a front end service that sits in front of them. That's probably Node. Who knows? I don't know front end, right? But it's out there. And then there's a business service that's tacked on to the front so that everyone who's in my environment but doesn't know what's going on back there can say, hey, there's a problem with the fabulous shop. And then we can go look at it. So I have my business service tapped there.
That's where I love the split behind like understanding the business service, or I like to think of it as really business applications.
Yeah.
Like, tying back to the original ethos of where DevOps came from, in my mind, which is start with the why. And at the end of the day, why our world and evolution exists is really about making sure people have access to the software that helps their lives move forward. And, as developers, and product folks, we can get caught up in the technical underbits versus, okay, how do we, kind of orient around the value delivered to our customers? And
Absolutely.
I love that split between technical and business of like really bridging that gap. And it kind of blends together that traditional DevOps story.
Yeah, definitely. It adds so much context and additional information for everyone else as to what's going on here that you don't have to know all the dirty details of what's going on in the back end. And as you look at this, you can see that it's so much more intuitive than as I scroll through my services here. Okay, I can kind of see, they're probably all related to Fabulous Shop because I named them that. But Service Graph helps me out, figures out how they're related and how they're dependent on each other. So one of the things that's here, right, is we talked about service standards, and you'll see this now in your service directory. They'll pop up in this column towards the right-hand side, and you can see mine are all yellow, and then like my dirty little test service down here is red. It's not good. It's all bad. So let's pull one of these up. So as we're looking at the things that are in the service standards, there's a bunch of interesting things that are in here that at least we think are going to help our customers, right, do better work with their services and like get more things done and have a better experience with them. So there's a couple of things in here that we'll go look for, right? A couple of them that'll be interesting, and others that I don't have hooked up, but we'll see, right? So we've got the ability to add an extension, right? So I have a service, it might plug into a Slack channel or something else that it would send output to. I should be classifying my incidents into high and low urgency, right? Service does not send only high incidents. Everyone who receives incidents and notifications should love this one, because low urgency means you can not be notified about it, and that's amazing. So let's just click on that one, right? You'll see that when you open these drop downs, you get a bump out for the place in the UI where we can go and change these. Because some of them can be like a little tricky to find where all the settings are if you're not used to like digging down through all the components all the time.
I think that's a great thing to kind of recognize. And part of this was, PagerDuty has so much to do. A lot of our tools that we use, we have, the diaspora, as I call it, of B2B SaaS tools in our world, especially developer pipelines. Really, we wanted to empower teams to get the most out of PagerDuty. Like we have a very intentional kind of dog fooding, champagning culture here at PagerDuty, and part of that is like we know our products so well in and out. We use them internally here, but we wanted to basically share some of those best practices with our customers and give visibility to, as you scale in an organization, how do you get all teams in alignment getting the value? It's like we really wanted to empower teams to know what good looks like and really empower themselves to make their lives better. Oftentimes we don't do the things to take care of ourselves, and this is the nudge to do the right thing for yourself. Make your services better so it's less painful if you get woken up, or to not get woken up, as Mandy's calling out here.
Absolutely, 100%, right? And that's super true. Like PagerDuty is very much customer zero of PagerDuty, but like there's a whole lot of people here who have been using PagerDuty for 10, 12 years, and we don't often get a chance to like go back and
the funny thing is we actually have been using this lately to go. I'll just tell a little insight. Like we've been using the service standard to clean up our service directory internally, and cruft builds up over time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't have a way to know, like, okay, who actually cares about this thing, and it forces upstream changes, and it kind of changes our behavior of what it means to go on call and be prepared for instant response. So it's actually been a good way for us to kind of, frankly, refresh our hygiene a little bit, which is sometimes we need that. It's been a good shakeup for us internally to have this.
Absolutely. It's its own kind of technical debt, right? Like it's that sort of like knowledge debt that you sort of lose.
Exactly.
So yeah, absolutely. So we're going to change how we send urgency, set our urgency here. So our service standard is service does not only send high urgency alerts, right? High urgency incidents. So we want a place where we can classify them. We're going to use dynamic notification based on alert severity. And I'm going to save that.
Now we saw the score update.
The original score here was 5. It's good that it has like 2 windows, right? So it popped out and I had the 5 on the original page, and then my score bumps up to 6 there. So that's super exciting, right? I'm getting better, right? Yay. Another one, service has at least one change integration. These are super fun. We've talked about change events on the show before because I love them and I talk about them all the time. So if you have a deployment tool or config management tool or anything that's going to make changes to your ecosystem, you can have that information pushed to your service. So you know, hey, there's an incident. Oh, look, 30 minutes ago we had a deploy. Maybe that's our problem, right?
Yeah, really trying to help save teams from frankly themselves, and like, hey, make your life easier. And I think that's the really fun part about both of these. I hate just talking about features, but the experience that we're trying to create was start with observability into what your world of services look like, and then level up. There's no reason to stay in a painful state, and we can, like I said, life can pass us by, and we can be on call in the middle of the night, and the incident's going to be terrible, and no one knows about them the next day. But like, we want to empower teams, both are the same way with our analytics product, but also these service standards. Like, take the time to get prepared. Like, that's the kind, like, we are in we are unfortunately the world in which we live of changes, and deployments means that incidents happen. Like, it's not, if you want us to have no incidents, that means you're probably not going to be changing very much. So like, you might as well take the time to be prepared. I don't know, it really excites me thinking about like empowering teams to take ownership here where they might not be doing it otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you the whole view of everything that's changing on the site. So I'm going to pull up, we're going to just hook up GitHub here. I'm not going to go through the hookup of that integration. We've got that documented, though, if folks want to see that. And now you see I'm all the way up at 7. Yay! Right? So let's look at some of the rest of these here. Service has at least one business service dependency. I'm already part of a business service, so I'm part of Fabulous Shop, right? So this service is a sort of a deep back end. It's not a direct, like, first level dependency on that. So that doesn't really show up on this particular standard, right?
So that's one of the things too, is we do have some configurations, so you can make certain you can direct standards to services or not. And then also, if you have a certain services, we have the ability to filter out certain standards. So it kind of we want to be careful of not allowing you to bend to make the grade, but there is some flexibility.
I'm totally cheating. And then we have some of the ones we've already met, like the way I set these services up, and we're going to walk through that in a minute, right? It has a description. It has an escalation policy with 2 or more unique levels. So I'm like not shooting the same people for both levels there. I turned alert grouping on. That's the default when I set these up. It has one technical service dependency, so it has a relationship with other services in my ecosystem, and I have it has at least one API integration. I have a tendency to set my services up with an events API endpoint integration so that I can just like shoot things at them from shell, and so that's in there as well. So you can kind of get a look at, like, these services standards are, it's not hard, right? These are things that you're probably doing anyway, but it gives you, like Davis mentioned, like this really good view of just how much you've got going on in all of these services.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's, as we think about, we have large organizations, we have many teams, we have many services. All of a sudden, it gets tough to like kind of recognize, okay, what is the state of preparedness they should be?
Yeah.
And like driving towards like action, like preparation sometimes is sometimes the first thing that goes out the door in our lives of being prepared. We kind of forget our scout ideals, but this is the opportunity to really kind of empower ourselves and say, like, hey, let's make future self thank us today.
Yes, future self should be very happy with us. 100%. I like that. All right, so that's a look at some of the standards here. Now, I have looked at this before, I think, before I go too far off the roll. The rest of the settings for services standards are sort of global. Is that right? They're account-wide settings?
Yeah, so we can have visibility depending, like some of this is, if you want to have just administrators or everyone see it, you can also toggle on and off, services, and then also apply them to specific services or not. and that's part of the kind of the breakdown. He also changed the description, so that's part of the dynamic that we wanted to allow some flexibility here. And then the other one, we also have the CSV link, download link on that page before, so you can play with the data alongside and see what the state of your organization is, and that's on the kind of main service directory page as well.
Oh, super fun. Okay, cool. And then there's one down here at the bottom that by default is grayed out, but like I think is going to be super helpful for your large organizations, right? The service name matches, and you can plug a regex in there, right? So if you need your services to follow a service standard name, and a lot of large organizations do, it's like team name, application name, tier, whatever, blah, 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 maybe even location.
So I think you have this off, so that's why it's not in the gray zone, but that's exactly it. It's like, set yourself up for success, like scale your practice, and that's part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, when I used to run like large installations, like we had a very strict naming convention so that I knew this host belongs to this application. It currently lives in Secaucus or wherever, and this is what it's going to do. So yeah.
Try and take that's again one of those thanking your future self, take the guesswork out of it.
Absolutely. So yeah, I would know right away my things weren't meeting up. So all right, cool. So that's an existing service that's on here. And we looked at our service graph. So I'm going to plug a new service in here, and then we're going to add it to the graph and go from there. So I'm going to decide that my shop is kind of busy. And what's going on here? My thing's all hung up. There we go. And I'm going to give it a cache layer for search. All right. I'm going to go into an existing escalation policy because I have this e-commerce application team. They handle all of these pieces of this application. So we'll go with an existing escalation policy. We're going to leave alert grouping onto intelligent. We'll auto pause incident notifications after 5 minutes for transient alerts. As distributed systems have lots of transient alerts. I'm going to plug in an events API integration just so it's there and create my service. All right. So now I'm going to add this to my business service.
The nice thing is you actually got some standards for free there as part of the setup.
Absolutely. This is not where I wanted to look for this, was it?
Well, actually,
can I do it from there, or can I edit it from here?
Oh, the sorry, edit the standard, or are you trying to?
No, I want to put it into my I want to give it dependencies.
I believe you have to do it from the services page itself.
Okay, cool.
You're putting me on the hot seat here.
I know, because I've only gone through it where I like built the whole thing at once. Like I haven't gone back and added them. So I'm like, we're all learning things today. It's all good. All right. Search caching. Search dependencies. There it is. All right. It's not using anything. Actually, it is going to use the database. There we go. Oops, did I add that? Database. There it is. Save changes. It's off my window. And it is going to be used by service backend. Save changes. Oh, will cause a circular dependency.
The old circular dependency. Gotcha.
Oh, all right. So we're going to view it on graph because I think I can change these links around, right?
Yep.
This is the fun part. All right. There's my front end. That's my database. Is that search? Yeah, so this is search. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to delete this link. Disconnect. And then my search caching, I'm going to bring this over here so I can see it better. And I'm going to hook it to here. There we go. All right. So let's bring these in a little bit so we can see them. So now I have my backend database and I have my search cache. My search cache now sits in between my search service and my database. So it's caching queries for things that people search for all the time, because I have only a few things in my fabulous shop, maybe. So people are searching for the same things all the time, and I can cache that, take that load off my database, and my mid-tier has what it needs. So now I have a much more interesting little piece of components there. And we just hook them up partially with the UI and partially with the fun picture part of the service graph components. So,
yeah. Absolutely. It's nice that we have, the API availability, the kind of direct from a service representation. Then also, if you're more of a visual person, you can build it this way. So it's
absolutely.
nice. There's multi different options to make sense of your world.
Yeah. So while we're sitting here, I'm going to throw an error into this. So let me pull up my code here, and we're going to send an event that should give us an incident. Let's see. Okay, so now I fired off an incident on my search backend, and we should be able to see that in the graph. All right, so now I have one impacted service in this service graph. Oh, it's a little out of wonk here. Let's pull it over so we can see it. I'm having trouble driving today. My goodness, come on. There we go. Okay.
Started a happy hour early.
I think maybe, yeah, right? I'm only drinking tea today, so it's not even exciting. So, all right, there's my front end. There's my business service. And here's the back end that's unhappy. So I can see that I've got this impact on this ecosystem based on what's going on, here we go, with my back end.
And the great thing is this service graph, it's great for setup configuration to kind of make sense of your world, of what we have traditionally called peacetime. And also this is great for, when an incident's going on, we can start to trace different areas of places to research of problems that sit. And, if we need to pull other teams as a result of those things.
Absolutely.
As a result of the dependencies that we see here.
Yeah, and it gives us, like, the addition of the business service in these too is like super helpful if I need to like talk to my customer service folks and say, hey, we're having an issue. Here's where it's going to impact the front end and where customers might be reporting that, because I can see the whole thing. Even if I'm sitting on that back end database, I've got to look through all the rest of the architecture to know that that business service is out there representing what the customers are seeing. So it gives you a lot of good information.
Yeah, it just gives that context to know, like, here's how this affects the rest of the world besides like the screen and code base that I'm looking at.
Right? Absolutely. Super cool. All right. So let's go back to our incident. And we're just going to, we'll say it's okay. We'll just resolve it. Cool. We'll pop back to our service directory. And yeah, so we're at, middling grades on our service standards. We're C or better, sort of passing.
C's get degrees, but I like the CAs. Like you don't get the PagerDuty with C's. Come on.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. It gives you a good weekend activity. So if you're on call over the weekend, do your teammate a favor. Get things up in order.
Right? Absolutely. Totally. Let me see. I think I have some better cleaned up on another account. We can see when it does get to green. Here, I'll pull this over. So this is one of my other accounts where I've been playing with these a little bit more. I have one that I've hooked to Slack. So it's green. You can see happy little service there, has 8 out of 9 standards met. So it is possible out there to get the good grades.
Not that hard. No, it's fun. That's what we're here for, is one step at a time. And the nice thing, it's hard to move back. Like it's only progress from here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like it definitely gives you a path, right? It's hard to know, I think, for folks who are just starting out in PagerDuty, to know exactly like what should we be doing. We understand usually the basics. We're going to put our stuff in, we're going to put our people in, and we can get pages. Okay, well, great. But like what are your next steps? What else should you be looking at? What's going to make things better? And I think these go a long way into like helping folks like coalesce around how you were thinking about handling your incidents better and getting better information into PagerDuty. So.
Exactly. I think if you go back to the standards, they are kind of bucketed into like providing context, understanding impact, making sure your setup configuration is a good place, and really empowering your team before they go on call.
Yeah, absolutely. Super cool. All right. Is there anything else we should look at while we have the app open here?
No, I think that was a great rundown. Well done, Mandy. The demo gods were kind to you today.
Absolutely. I know, right? You got to make the right sacrifice on a Friday afternoon for the demo gods to get all that stuff going. But yeah, cool. All right. So I've posted some links into the chat for folks who would like to know more. You can find all the information there on how to set this stuff up for yourselves based on what's in the knowledge base, working with the service directory and the service graph and service standards and all that good stuff. There's also a blog. Actually, there's 2 blogs here. I'm going to post those in the chat as well. Because one is just more generically about service ownership, and then one about the dynamic service graph components when we introduced them earlier this year. So, yeah. Is there anything coming up for service graph, service standards that we can share with the folks?
I think the exciting thing is kind of building off of the service graph and service standards. Actually, we have some really exciting early access programs coming out that we're announcing, that came out in our recent recent fall launch. I'm excited about the status update notification templates, which is empowering teams to standardize their communications. Like when you're on call, it's tough to sometimes remember the right things to communicate. So guiding teams is part of the major incident process. Another thing I'm super excited about is workflows too. Honestly, I kind of think about workflows and services as kind of like one of the same. They're starting to like blend the boundaries of like what they are. Obviously, services are like a representative of some container of thing that you care about, but they are also the set of actions that you take on the other side. So leveling that up, and I'm really excited just to see like phase 1 of this launch, and then we've got an awesome roadmap next year around that, just to really kind of empower kind of standardizing processes and scaling up your teams. And it's exciting to kind of recognize getting the team up and running with the service graph, service standards. And then really it's like turbocharging the team to be prepared and automate processes next year. It's a lot coming. So a busy end of the year. It's that time of year where there's a lot launching. So
it definitely is. And like I'm super looking forward to the workflow stuff too. The internal training came out Tuesday. Unfortunately, I was at the polls all day, so I haven't watched it yet. But like it is on the plan. We are going to have it on the happy hour as a how-to for folks.
Yeah, I got to get Sam Ferguson, my colleague, on. He's great. So
we're going to drag Sam in here. Maybe December, might not happen until January, because like what even is the end of this year? I just don't even know right now. So we got reInvent and all this other stuff coming up. So it's crazy around here. But looking forward to that one.
Yeah, join the early access programs. Get on the list. Like as a product manager, I love working at PagerDuty because I know my job is to make people's lives better who go on call and are in this service of operational efficiency. And please join the early access. It's a great time to get feedback into all of these things, and work as a partner with us as product managers to make it better. Like we really get to do. It's fun that we get to serve all of you on the call today.
Yeah, it's super great. And I posted it in the chat there. There's a whole bunch of stuff that came out last week that that folks can select if they're interested in,
Totally.
the incident workflows and status page. And oh my gosh,
I should have mentioned them all.
Right?
I only was thinking about the ones that I've been.
I know. I had to look them all up. I'm like,
so much
yeah.
fun. You should call it all out, Mandy. You're better than me.
Yeah, you've got incident workflows, status page, API scopes, service performance report, custom fields on the incidents. That one's going to be a big one.
Yeah, that's really good. I should have mentioned that. Yeah, that's a fun one. It's like thinking about being able to pull just like way richer data, like from many tools.
Yeah,
and really give the team context. Like, we're the fun thing is we're opening the Pandora's box with a lot of what we're doing, like trying to really kind of lean into a platform approach and kind of leveling up in the speed in which we deliver products. So I don't know, it's fun as a product manager because like we get to do more of these fun calls talking about things coming out.
Yeah, that one's going to be super interesting. Like the ecosystem of tooling is so much different now than it was even 5 years ago. And there's so much other rich data that folks are collecting in portable ways that, yeah, getting all that stuff into your incident. So it's like right there when you need it to respond. Yeah, it's be awesome.
And I don't know, I'm going to make a Peloton joke here. Dennis Morton's my favorite. And, it's like, he for those Peloton folks, but like he talks about like cadence and resistance coming together like Voltron. I think of like custom fields and workflows coming together like Voltron because they power up, thinking about like third-party fields from tools like ServiceNow, firing off workflows, getting teams empowered, running faster. Yeah, that Voltron experience with custom fields and workflows is pretty fun. Level up, and yeah, we want to turbocharge all of your experience to be on call and get into the evolve your operational maturity.
Yeah, I think we need a Voltron pagey going forward for that. Yeah, so that would be perfect. Yeah, and the other stuff, some of it we've already talked about. Flexible time windows. We had the IAG team on the show a couple of weeks ago to talk about that and that new feature and how they developed that with the machine learning algorithms that are behind there. And that was super interesting there. Incident activity reports, and then the status notification update templates. Yeah. We're looking to use those internally as well. So yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right. Davis, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Always fun, man. Always a hoot. Always a hoot. So thank you.
Yeah. Perfect.
Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.
All right, everybody. Take care. We'll see you Monday morning back here on the Twitch stream for the PagerDuty Garage. So have an uneventful weekend.
There you go. I like it.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you never miss a stream. Follow us at PD Community and PagerDuty on twitch.tv. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you'd like to be on our stream, email us at community-team@pagerduty.com so we can feature the cool things you're doing. And don't forget, check out all of our global events on our calendar at pagerduty.com/events.